Well, we had Harry Richardson on the show way back on season one, talk about some of the stuff he's done, his career and everything. But I was talking with him the other day. He had a really interesting case because we're focusing on actual investigations and operations this year on season five. And Harry has got one that's really interesting that we all looked for working joint investigations and operations with other agencies, whether it be DEA or ATF, at the time, U.S. Customs. But Harry, thanks for coming on the show and telling us about this really fascinating case involving Croatians.
Glad to be here. It was a really good case. It had a lot of different elements, everything from the real serious implications that could have happened to sort of a gang that couldn't shoot straight type scenario. In 1991, Customs had started setting up some storefronts. They were looking at Neutrality Act and ITAR violations. They were kind of branching out. I think they were looking to kind of stretch out the drug business because there was so much competition from every agency, from state and local to the feds. Everybody was vying for drug cases. And I knew of instances down when I was in Laredo where Customs, Border Patrol, and DEA were working the same cases and didn't know it. So
Unbelievable.
I,
And
I
these are
think,
there was no coordination authority
no,
in at
yeah.
time. Yeah.
And I think that was kind of their justification. I know they had a storefront. We had the one in San Antonio. There was an East Coast one, and I think there was one in the Northwest. I'm not sure. But uh, they had an idea of what they wanted. They got an office building that had a warehouse attachment to it. So the the upfront offices, we arranged for a receptionist from one of the customs offices, and then the two agents that were there full time, they had offices, and we had a tech room in the back where we had it all wired up and things like that. Their problem was they really didn't know how to go about getting the arms and munitions and things that they needed for show and tell.
Mm-hmm.
So I had worked with them down in Laredo for several years, and we had a good relationship. And a couple of the agents had left Laredo and transferred to San Antonio. So they asked me to come over and join in the operation. And I'm more than happy to do that. And what they wanted was military hardware, just anything to bulk up the warehouse and make it look like a legitimate entity.
Mm.
Well, the first thing I did, having started in Corpus Christi and still being under Corpus Christi, the Army had the Corpus Christi Army Depot. It was one, at that time, I think there were only two helicopter rework facilities for the Army. One was in, I think, Belgium, and the other was Corpus Christi. And they did all the major repairs, overhauls, upgrades to Army helos.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, and they also worked on Navy helos and things like that, uh, the systems that were the same. So, uh, I hooked up with a good friend of mine who was he was a deck commander for the 902nd MI there in San Antonio, and he hooked me up with Corpus Christi and arranged. We got a couple of helicopter engines in their cases. We've got several rotor blades and tail rotor blades in their cases. and we got some cases with uh, avionics.
Mm.
The reality was, if these guys really knew what they were doing, they could have looked at the avionics and realized this is like 2 generations old. This is sitting in somebody's scrap pile.
This is
But
Vietnam stuff right now.
yeah, yeah, late Vietnam, and just they're still using the Hueys at that time.
Hmm.
So any Huey upgrades they were doing, and then they had the old stuff before it went to DRMO.
Sure.
But it all looked pretty. It was in the right cases and everything. Uh, and unless you really hooked it up, you wouldn't realize it. So for the uninformed who was just told to find specific equipment, it all worked great.
Yeah.
Um, we needed some munitions, so uh, we got a hold of Crane and had them make us some inert munitions in cases. They they look good. If you looked at them, they were the real thing. You pull the pin and throw it, it just goes dunk. So, but we weren't planning to do any displays of armament. I mean, at least live fires.
Hmm.
So we uh, we went to Crane for the munitions, and I had the Marine Corps Third Recon Battalion headquarters. It was an I, a reserve unit,
Okay.
and I got I lined up a case, couple of cases of M16s in the case, um, some M60s, and a bunch of 782 gear. You know,
Mm.
the web gear and canteens, all everything you need to outfit
Sure.
a unit.
Small army.
Yeah. The well, this was Marine Corps
Hmm.
um, gear, so um, and we really played up the Marine Corps because you come to find out foreign nations love our Marine Corps.
Is that right?
Yeah, they've they're well into the mythology.
Well, no. So you they must have been ecstatic that you could get all this materials for the storefront, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so what was the point of this storefront? Just going back to the storefront, why was the storefront? What was the operational goal of this using the storefront?
Uh, they leads would be fed into them from customs offices around the country
Hmm.
that were starting to work, like I said, ITAR or neutrality cases.
Sure.
So they would be fed to one of these storefronts, and they would work the initial case and then make an introduction down to San Antonio
Mhm.
to do the show and tell, and we closed the deal.
Okay.
So um, that was the purpose. And Phoenix, of all places, sent us one. They had Croatians that were looking for um, for weapons for the. I don't know if I think the fighting had already started in Yugoslavia
Okay.
by this time, or it was definitely building up.
Sure.
So they had come over to procure weapons for one of the rebel groups. So one was I don't remember if he was naturalized or just a green card holder, Croatian.
Mhm.
And then 2 Croatian nationals came over. They came down to San Antonio. We met with them, recorded the meetings and stuff, wined and dined them, and then arranged a show and tell outside of the storefront itself.
Mhm.
They had seen the types of things we had, but for the show and tell, we chose a different location.
Mhm.
Uh, Customs arranged to get a very nice ranch and ranch house kind of out in the boonies out from San Antonio.
Okay.
And we set up an elaborate show and tell. Um, had, you know, definitely looked like we had money and legitimate because we had the nice ranch house, we had the barns. It was a real working ranch.
Right.
So we went out there. The plan was we were going to host a good old Texas barbecue for them, and then that was more to our benefit than them. But hey,
I get you.
if we had to be out there hiding in the woods and stuff while they
That's right.
did their deals, we were going to get some barbecue out of
That's
it.
right. Some of the perks of doing an
Yeah,
operation.
yeah. So we went out ahead of time. We set up surveillance. Um, we had a customs helicopter just the other side of the ridge line with an assault team in it in case we needed it, and we had some people in the barn and and the house that could respond besides the five or six of us that were doing the show and tell.
Right.
Uh, we made it look really good. We had the big barbecue pit. They didn't know we went and bought everything already cooked because we didn't want to ruin our barbecue. So we had the date, we had everything all set up. We had the arrangements made. They had already produced a $400,000 irrevocable line of credit for the show and tell. Uh, I don't remember the exact numbers, but they were looking for several $1 million in small arms and equipment. So once we had the letter of credit in hand, then we arranged the uh, for them to come over and do the show and tell.
Mm.
Well, about that time, Desert Storm starts spinning up.
Okay.
I had arranged from their third recon, like I said, some gear and stuff. They deployed.
Mm.
Literally the day that I was showing up to get the equipment, I showed up to an empty armory.
Oh man. Not
So
good.
now what do we do? So here's
I think this,
here,
now we talked about this off the air. I think
yeah,
this is really it when you talk about, you know, rolling with the punches, this
yeah,
is an ultimate rolling with the punches moment because what you do next is to me
yeah.
is remarkable. So
And and this just shows how versatile NIS is,
mhm.
or was in our day.
Yeah.
Um, we worked so many different kinds of cases, and we met so many different people in running leads and backgrounds and all of
Mhm.
that. We just, you know, our Rolodex is, you know, you go to some agencies and the only people in their Rolodex are cops.
Yeah.
You know, we had bankers, school teachers,
Yeah.
museum curate, you name it.
Yeah.
Somebody in the office had a contact in some field of endeavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just worked that way. Well, several years before, somebody in Corpus Christi had worked a case at the back then it was the Admiral Nimitz Museum. Now I believe it's the Museum of the Pacific
That's
in
right.
Fredericksburg, Texas.
That's right.
And a handgun had been stolen.
Mm.
Uh, I remember it specifically. It was a Parkerized um, Smith and Wesson Model 10, stamped U.S. Navy on it from World War II.
Oh, cool.
And it turns out, and I didn't know this until I just happened to be mentioning that all your at least Navy and Marine Corps wise, all of those weapons that are given to museums are still in Navy inventory.
Yeah.
They're on long-term loans.
Mm.
So that's how Corpus ended up working that case involving that pistol.
Mm.
Well, somebody said, hey, go up, you know, we know the guys up there. Maybe they can help you out. They've got a lot of, arms on display and stuff in the back. So a wild shot went up there, talked to the curator, talked to the superintendent, and they said, yeah, we'll be glad to help you, but you realize we don't have anything post 1945. So I said, you know what? I'll take what I can get. Um, I remember we got a Maud Deuce of 50 caliber Browning. Uh, we got M3 grease gun. I think we got a Thompson, some 45s. And for display, they had several uh, of the ammo cans of 50 caliber and 30 caliber ammo and stuff, inert bullets and stuff, but you could hook it out. You could, it was linked up. All you had to do was put it in the gun. So it all looked legit. So that's what we took. We took a bunch of their stuff.
World War II weapons.
Yeah. Stuck it in the back of a van to take it back down. We had an inkling that this might work because one of the things they were looking for were anti-tank weapons, and they specifically had asked, do you have any Panzerfausts?
Interesting.
No, I don't happen to have any German disposable anti-tank weapons.
Yeah.
But we knew that they were not necessarily up to date on the latest arms and munitions that were out there.
Yeah.
So we hoped we could kind of pull it off. Instead of a Panzerfaust, we brought them a bazooka and some inert rounds and stuck them in the back of this unmarked van. And myself and one of the customs agents, real good friend of mine, we're driving the stuff back. And we're just thinking, if we get pulled over by a trooper, he's going to shoot us before we have time to identify ourselves if he looks in the back of this van. I mean,
Look like some kind of Texas militia.
oh, Texas militia, Weather Underground, for
Yeah.
anybody that's old enough to remember those guys.
Oh, yeah.
So we got them. We took them out. We laid out everything for display. We did our show and tell. Everything goes perfect. They place a very specific order. How many rifles, how much ammunition, everything. So we're lining all that up. We said, good, we can do it. All we're going to need is packaging instructions, where to take it, and when. And they said when they got back to Phoenix, they would finalize it and they would let us know. Uh, they didn't give us all the details at that time, but they did tell us it would be on a foreign flagged ship out of New York Harbor, and we would be packaging this stuff as International Red Cross shipments.
Wow.
That's how they wanted the stuff marked. So everything is going great. And here is where the intel side of the house bumped up against the criminal side of the house.
Right.
All customs wanted was an arrest and stats.
Yep.
We couldn't have cared less about the arrest at that time.
Yep.
We wanted to know, how was this stuff being packaged? what was the logistics chain, what vessels were being used, what ports. And I mean, you know, we're all salivating. Headquarters is just, oh my God, look at the intel dump we can get out of this. Well, it gets back to Phoenix. They get back to Phoenix, and the way it worked, at least then in customs, whichever office made the physical arrest got credit for the case.
Oh boy.
And as soon as they got back, they arrested them.
Oh.
So that was all the intel we got, was it was going to be out of New York, a foreign flagged vessel, and the shipments would go as Red Cross humanitarian aid.
Mm-hmm.
So from at that point, we pretty much finished up our part. San Antonio finished up their part, uh, but it goes to trial, and it got real interesting the way the defense handled it. The full war had broken out in Croatia.
Mm-hmm.
The two Croatian nationals pled guilty. They wanted to be in an American jail because after the arrest and everything was out there, if they set foot back in Yugoslavia, their lifespan was going to stop the second they hit the concrete. So they pled guilty. They wanted to be in jail in the U.S. The life expectancy was longer. The green card holder or naturalized Croatian, he goes to trial, and he used a very unique defense that he was not doing anything different for his country of birth, than the Revolutionary War soldiers did for theirs. And the jury bought it and acquitted him.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, you know,
You know,
it's a Texas jury. When they hear revolution,
well, no, that was
oh,
Phoenix.
that was Phoenix. Oh,
Yeah,
it
because
must have been
Phoenix made the arrest, and
it must have been a Scottsdale jury.
probably wasn't Prescott.
Oh, what? That's amazing. That's amazing. So,
But it was
what?
a it was a very unique defense. One of the U.S. attorneys I knew in San Antonio said that hadn't even entered anybody's thought processes as a defense.
We call that the American Revolution defense.
Yeah, yeah, but that was the crazy part, was uh, how it goes. The Croatians got 3 years, were released, deported, and by that time Croatia was a separate state, and they
Mhm.
went home as heroes of the revolution.
Good for them. Maybe I'll meet those guys. I have friends moving to Croatia. I'm gonna go visit them. Maybe I'll meet these guys. Unbelievable. Well, let me ask you this: as far as let's go back to that split between criminal investigation or criminal and counterintelligence.
Okay.
So, you know, certainly, I mean, we want to know the logistics line. We want to know how they're, you know, what their processes are, money, where that's coming from, all these things.
Yeah.
Were you guys were able to, you know, secure that kind of information, or did Phoenix go ahead and push the thing to prosecution?
Well, as soon as they got back, Phoenix pushed the button before we got the whole layout.
Mm-hmm.
We, I mean, they were going to send us uh, dimensions for packages, how to pack them, what the markings should be, what the bill of ladings should say. We knew that it would be going to New York City to to New York Harbor, and that it would go on a foreign flagged vessel. We didn't have the vessel's name yet. We didn't have the exact date. But we knew it was going to go through because they'd
Mm.
already given us $400,000.
Mm.
So, they're not going to walk away from that as a fledgling revolutionary movement.
Well, you know what? We can only investigate them. We can't prosecute them.
Yep.
It's like, and who, and I'm sure the U.S. Attorney's Office there is very good, but I'm not sure anybody would have come up with the idea that they're going to use the American Revolution as a defense.
Why would you think it would work?
Yeah, exactly. No, they'll never do that. I mean, what? Come on.
But that's part of our problem because we think in a more, or at least I hope we think in a more logical
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
But you got a jury of you got a jury of 12 people who couldn't get out of jury duty.
True. Oh my goodness. Oh, but you
But
never can tell with these cases and how they're going to go.
no,
But you did get a commendation from the U.S. Attorney's Office, right?
yeah,
For this case. I mean, that's great
from,
work. I mean, if you're being
from,
recognized by the prosecutors.
from San Antonio,
Oh, okay.
not
San
no,
Antonio. Okay.
yeah, Phoenix. They didn't even call any of the customs agents out of San Antonio for trial. They just used their reports.
Oh my goodness. Good grief.
But
Now
but the,
that's sloppy. That's sloppy.
yeah, but the funny thing is, for us, it was still a win.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that we didn't get to prosecute didn't bother us as
Mhm.
much. I mean, sure, we'd have liked to have seen it all the way through, but we did get some intel. We
Yeah.
we got some good information. It just wasn't what it could have been.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, it's one of those deals where like when I can specifically go back to Iraq when I was there. We were working a source that was a criminal. He was a stone cold killer, and he had been arrested by U.S. forces before my team got there to the Strategic Counterintelligence Directorate, and we actually went to him and got him, and we recruited him out of that, got him out of prison, and he became an extremely valuable source on providing us information logistics about Iranian arms coming over the border. So, and kind of the whole structure of command from those forces. So it's really interesting what you can get out of it if you can just keep, I mean, I love getting a good prosecution. There's no doubt about it in the world. And I'm sure the U.S. Attorney's Office, they were both looking at it going, "Ooh, this is a big fish. We does San Antonio want to get this, or does Phoenix want to get this?" And I'm sure Phoenix like going, "Well, yeah, we're going to grab this one before they do."
Yeah, I mean,
And I'm not sure San Antonio would have waited if they had known that Phoenix was going to go to prosecution. Do you think they would have, based on the information you had?
I think there would have at least been some higher level discussions.
Okay.
I don't think anybody thought Phoenix was going to do it, is why nobody put that in motion.
Yeah.
Um,
What was the opinion of the customs agents you're working with?
oh, they were pissed. They were pissed.
Yeah.
Partially because um, uh, the group soup, he was old school customs back in the day. I remember when he said when he came on with U.S. Customs, there were less than 600 special agents.
Wow.
That was a long time
Was
ago.
it about Civil War?
Probably knowing Bo, yeah, probably. Spanish
Spanish
American.
American
He
War
wasn't
guy.
that old. He wasn't that old. But
Oh,
yeah, they were pissed because and then one of the guys that I worked real closely with on the case, he was former special forces
mm,
and he understood the intelligence concept.
yeah.
And everybody in San Antonio, you know, 3 years in a U.S. jail, big deal compared
Mhm.
to what this could have led to.
Yeah.
And they understood that.
Yeah.
Um, one of the U.S. attorneys probably didn't help. He was former Marine, and he was Marine recon. He was in 3rd Recon Battalion.
Okay.
So he understood the intelligence factors
Mhm.
and the fact that sometimes maybe the bad guys need to walk for the greater good
Mhm.
of of the whole mission. You know, that
Especially when
that's
you're
one of
dealing.
those philosophical things I guess
Yeah.
you have to
Well, when I
work
look at
on.
it, when you're the weapons that you're looking at are World War II weapons that you're and inert stuff. It seems like there should have been a little bit more discussion on, you know, the CI side, the counterintelligence side to the criminal investigation side.
You
Oh well.
you
What do
know
you?
and I mean, had we known that Desert Storm was going to blow up, we'd have had time to have arranged for legitimate modern arms.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it worked anyway. I mean, can you tell the difference between a Ma Deuce made in 1991 and one made in
No.
1940?
No, they're
Well,
still
I
using
can't
them.
either.
The Marines are probably still using those
Yeah.
somewhere.
Um, but you know, you look at a lot of these revolutionary groups when they start. Uh, look at people like the Shining Path and things like
Sure.
that. They were using Mauser rifles.
Wow.
You know, they're using, and I'm when I not 98 Ks, but the original Mauser 98, which was that big long
Yeah, the
world
long one, but
issue
between World War
rifle.
One and World War Two.
Yeah,
Wow.
so when you're
The one,
when you're starting off, you get the most you can for the least amount of money until the revolution gets going, and then you
yeah.
get the funding.
I think that was the weapon that Sergeant Schultz carried in Hogan's
Yeah,
Heroes.
yeah, yeah,
The 98, not the K98, but the
yeah,
98.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh, so, um, there's several ways to look at it. Was it a success? We kept at least that shipment from getting there, but how
yeah,
many shipments could we have stopped if we'd have been able to identify their logistics chain
yeah,
and
sure.
their procurement mechanism?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's you still were commended for your actions in that investigation, and that's a big thumbs up right there. So, I mean, I think you kind of look at it that way. Yeah, we could have done this, but ultimately, justice was it served? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
But I mean, who would have thought they'd come up with the American Revolution Defense?
To,
Crazy.
to
That's
me,
that's some
I
crazy.
I have mixed emotions about it. I'm kind of like, yeah, that's wrong, but
Yeah.
damn, we did do the same thing to the British.
Well, so you're still thinking about it all these years later, it's
Yeah.
one of those cases that you never can, it never leaves your mind. You always like one, is there something we could have done differently, but I mean, it's just a lot of circumstances are working against you on that one.
And this case had more elements of Murphy's Law than I think I've ever run into.
Wow.
It's if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. And when it goes wrong, it'll go wrong at the worst possible time.
That's
You
true.
know,
That's true. Well,
but
just for the people who are listening out there for the channel, just so I worked with Harry way back in the day in Washington D.C. He was unfortunate; he had to go to Washington D.C. I did too. We worked in the CI squad together, but he's also one of the responders to the USS Cole tragedy that happened in Yemen Harbor. And I know it's been a lot of years, and we still haven't gone to prosecution on that one. So I know that you're working on that case right now still, and you'll be, and so is Kathy, my wife. But you all will be going to Guantanamo Bay at some point, I guess, to testify.
If it gets that far, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I was like, I was like, I don't think I'd like you. I don't think I could remember what I interviewed the guy for, or what who they were wanting to be to discuss about.
Yeah, and I mean, at, some of these were people we spent 3 weeks with, saw them 12, 16 hours a day, every
Wow,
day, but we never saw them again, and it's been 26 years.
wow.
Uh, I know I look a little older. Uh,
You're not the youth that I remember those days.
the only one who seems to have kept it is Kathy.
Yeah.
The rest of us are not looking so good.
And I'm not complaining. I'm telling you, because I certainly have not kept it. Anyway, well, listen, Harry, man, it's been great catching up with you and catching up on this really interesting case. I think I'm going to call this the American Revolution defense case. I mean,
That'll work.
name this episode using the American Revolution as a defense.
Yeah.
It's great, man.
Uh,
Well,
but
listen,
I could just let you know we even did a couple more. Nothing is major, but uh, we did a couple more tech transfer cases. Uh, F-14 parts and tires going to Iran,
oh my gosh.
and
They do need the
it
parts. Well, they did
yeah,
need the parts until their
they
planes
did.
got blown up. All those
I,
museum pieces they're flying around in.
yeah. So it continued, and like I said, we did a couple more before we shut it down.
Mm,
Because of course it doesn't take long for it to get known.
sure.
But yeah, we continued our relationship, and probably the best thing I can say about NIS, at least in our era, they taught us to do so much with absolutely nothing
That's right. That's right.
that I would hold NIS agents from that day and age against anybody.
I know. You had to
You could
figure out ways to get things done.
you every NIS agent that was in Yemen was like, hey, this ain't no big deal. And there were bureau agents that were complaining about everything.
Oh wow.
You know, Kathy can tell you some of
Oh
those
yeah.
stories.
She told me a few stories about that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, just show me where to lie down and I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it hasn't been there. There's certainly many times when you go TDY on something and you end up in a hotel room with somebody else because the agency couldn't afford it back in those days. Doubling up,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
staying in always staying in a bachelor's officers quarters because those are the cheapest apartments or cheapest rooms in the town.
Yeah.
Great stuff,
Uh,
man. Well,
unless you got a chance at senior Air Force enlisted quarters,
oh
take that.
yeah. Oh,
Take those.
absolutely. Take anything Air Force. Take anything Air Force over Navy any day of the week.
Well,
I
I
stayed at Hanscom Air Force Base one time in Boston, and I couldn't believe the officers' quarters there. This thing, it was magnificent. It was a Taj Mahal compared to what I stayed in San Diego when I showed up for the job. They put me in a BOQ. It was probably a World War II era, a dump. So,
the I stayed at Laughlin Air Force Base, which is in Del Rio, Texas,
mhm.
on the border, far west Texas. It had big TV, a lounge in your room, a private bath, cherry wood furniture, a nice desk. I had to go out to San Diego once and stayed in the Admiral Kidd.
Oh yeah, see that's where I was at when I first got there, the
Cement,
Admiral Kidd Club.
cement block, a
Mm.
boot camp bunk, cold as hell, and no TV.
Well, we have ships to build.
Yeah.
Well, of course, in the Air Force, the old saying is they build their BOQs before they build their runways.
Oh, that's right. Got to have that golf course and BOQ.
That's right, baby. Well, I'm
Airplanes are
not
secondary.
complaining because I've been able to take advantage of that a few times
Yeah.
in my career. Good times. Harry, good
Yeah.
talking to you, man. I'm
Okay.
gonna shut this down now, and but stay on the line. We'll continue to talk a little bit.
Okay.